I have just come from 2 hours of standing outside at a farmer's market, and I am still cold. So if I look cold, I am cold. It's a small world. It's a great thing to be in this building. Andre explained to you in his introduction. Andre happens to be my neighbor from one behind. But I take great pride in having this building here. As Dave knows only too well, we fought very hard for many years to make sure that this building was here in Aurora and not somewhere else in the region. There was a lot of discussion about this building for many years, but we finally were able to convince the Region Council, and I know that YRP had this as a preferred site to locate here, and we're really glad they did, because it gives us a great venue for character, and it also helps the police a little bit too, I think. So thank you very much. Thank you. I get a little concerned when I get related to a character or anything as somebody, as a founding father or somewhere in history. But it's true, 10 years ago, 10 years ago, Don Cousins approached me and said, Jonesy, I think this is something that you'd really like to do. And he was right. It was something that I did not know at the time. He just said, come on down to Oklahoma with me. And the former Chief LaBarge and myself, Bob McCullough, oh gosh, a number of people went down to the Character Cities location in Oklahoma. I got my introduction to character there, where it was a little more probably on the religious side. We were in an old Holiday Inn, which had been converted to the Character Cities headquarters. We had our meals all together. We held hands and said grace. We went through the character and the spiritual movement of the Character Foundation, a lot of the principles and the guidelines, a lot of exercises. We came back saying, you know, in a generic sense, this is something we know we can do through here. The boards of ed had already been introduced and had introduced us through Avis Blaze to what character was about in education. There was a great conference that was on that. We took all these pieces, went to the region with a great amount of help from the Board of Ed. We got Don getting the politicians on side. We started this thing called a character movement, and it was really every time we got together, it was motivating, it was inspirational. We formed a group, we got the region on board, we had some, what are we going to do with this character? We said, well, let's put it out there generically, let's create some principles on which we want to work with, let's identify the attributes. We had a number of sessions where we did that. Wendell Clark jumped on board. And I should say, Ghislaine, if there's somebody founding, you're as founding as I am. And look how young she is. So there you go. Good. It was just an experience every time we got together. We established and identified 11 attributes. Why 11? Well, let's do one a month and make the 12th one your pick. I can remember Tony Wong, who was a regional counselor at the time and has passed on since then, came to us. We had a list of a million attributes you could choose. And Tony picked one that wasn't on that list. Inclusiveness. That was his creation, which we adopted. And so it was that kind of spirit that we went forward. And as Dave knows, we all went out to each municipality. They jumped on board with the attributes. They jumped on board with the program. Don, of course, the godfather of character, I like to call him. He was just always there doing his thing. And it just started to move along. We did some emphasis to sports. We did emphasis to family. We did emphasis to business. And if you go back in the archives, you'll find pieces on each of those areas that we branched out a bit in. Some have come back. oh gosh, since that point, I know particularly, and I'm proud to say in Aurora, the staff jumped on board and we had a great character group. My EA, Cookie, just took this as her thing, made me look really good, and she just, we had all sorts of stuff running through to the staff, and almost at the same time, Richmond Hill, I think, with Dave's leadership, they took off on this. Their Parks and Rec staff took this on as something that was they were committed to, and your program just thrives, and it's the envy of, I think, the region as it goes. Other municipalities have also jumped on, and they've taken it to various degrees. So it's something in government I'm a lot more familiar with. I know that there's an emphasis that we want to look at going into business, because I think it's a natural there. Paul Peary, unfortunately, he had to be at the end of my mouth, and I kept telling him about this character thing and how he would be so good for it. And much the same, his cousin started talking to me, so I'm looking for big things from you. Past that, we are moving forward to where we are today. Probably the only other milestone that I'm going to refer to is the Board of Governors. The Character Community Foundation and their council has been there since the start. We've grown and fluctuated in size, but we've also, a number of years ago, established a Board of Governors, which where people like Don and I gravitated to, and allowed for new blood. I think I'm a great believer in new blood all the time coming on board, and the more we can spread this out, the better. So our job is simply to have functions that can try and raise some dollars, which will allow you to do what you want to do best. The region has been totally supportive since day one. They have they've funded us, and to that we're very appreciative. They've given us, well, it didn't hurt when Don and I split the chairmanship of the Admin and Finance Committee for 6 years. And during those 6 years, we made sure that there was always going to be funding for the Character Community Foundation. So we like to think we laid the grant. Now Dave's there to be able to keep pushing it on for us, so thanks, Dave. Past that, I think I'm going to hand it over to Dave to pick up any pieces I've left off and to describe a little bit more about sort of where we came from to get to here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. And I'm surprised you remember all that.
I've had him do this before.
Tim is right in how the region kind of embraced it, and everybody at the region understood how important it was. And I think the boards certainly led it. And when we realized we have occasion to often go into schools and read and do various things, and when you wander down Initiative Avenue and turn into Responsibility Hallway, and you see how prevalent it is in the schools, and you know that the young people are getting it, and then so that's where the municipalities tried to step in, and other organizations got involved, because if you're dealing with families, the sports, trying to think the full spectrum of someone's day, how can you expose them to character all day long? And I think we've done it well in a lot of areas, and as you said, in Richmond Hill, from a municipal point of view, the best thing to do is get a Parks and Recreation person, because they're programmed to program, and it works well. So we have all of our summer camps. All the T-shirts have the character logo on, and a number of things like that. We went to our sports committee, our sports groups in town, our soccer club, especially in Richmond Hill, especially there's 8,000 kids play soccer. They have a character logo on their uniform. So trying to create that full cycle of character. So it's not when you're in school that character matters. It's when I'm playing soccer. And I think the next step that that I hope we can maybe flush out today is families. And I think that is the gap that we have in moving forward. But all of those things, and I'm always amazed that the staff at any level are very interested. They recognize it, they live it, and know that it's important that everyone else in the organization understands what character truly is. And so they really work with it. And we have, you know, as an example, in every boardroom in the town of Richmond Hill, there's a plaque as you come in the door that you can't miss. It says, "I work with character," and has the attribute. So you just try to process it. So I think you're right. It's your champions. You need to, new blood is very important because you need to kind of re-energize your committee, because as we know, on committees often we kind of just get going and then we kind of plateau. So new blood is the way to do that. So I think all of the organizations, everyone here, you know, understands that it's and a regional-based character is the best thing there is, because you can't do it as one individual municipality. You have to do it as a group, and then all the organizations in all of our communities have to understand it and promote it. And the biggest concern that I think we all have in everything we're trying to do is communication and rolling it out. How do you get this message out? Say it's just repetitive plaques in offices, a whiteboard with the character attribute. I know when I smile when I drive by schools, this one's attribute is, and that's tremendous because it just keeps reinforcing it in every part of your life. And I think that the next generation that's in school now will grow up with character, just ingrained in their everyday thinking, and so we might have missed it. Our generation. It behooves us to make sure that. So you're right. This is a very good session. I'm glad that we're having it and moving forward on some new ideas, some different ideas. I think it's very, very important. I think it reflects on a community, but it also reflects on a society as general as to how we deal with each other. And as we know every day, and Andre, you see it every day here, how we don't treat people well as a society, and it's important that we do. It's important that we teach those skills and those thoughts to those in our society. And our young folks are the most important. They're us. 10 or 15 years, and they'll be sitting around this table. It's important that they have a good background.
Karen?
I forgot one.
Oh, okay, sure.
There are leaders and there are followers. I'd like to thank Karen, Nikki, for the work that they do and have been doing all this way. Alan, without leaders, things don't happen. And I want to thank each and every one of you for the roles you have played, either from the beginning, today, or in the future, for where you're going. Character works because people believe in it. You get a core of people that believe in it, people who lead it, and people who make things happen. And I really look to this group and to everybody involved to continuing to make things happen. I know you will. And I'm excited to see what you're going to do and what we can do. And I don't exclude myself. As a Board of Governors, I'd like to stay associated with that group for some time and do what I can do. So let's make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim and Dave.